Hey. Oh my gosh. Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Kyra, and in today's video I realized I've never really done a proper get to know me. I've never properly introduced myself, you know? So I figured for today's video it would be nice to do a chit chat, sit down, get ready with me, get to know me, get your drinks, get your makeup, you know, if you want to do your makeup with me, and let's just get to know me a little bit. I'm answering some questions. All of the questions came from my broadcast channel on Instagram, so make sure you're following me on Instagram. Obviously this is the finished look, but without further ado, let's get into it. I feel like I'm very long overdue. Very, because I've never really properly introduced myself in a sit down sort of way. Currently in a hotel, obviously. I'm having a little staycation right now, and I figured this would be a perfect time to just kind of chill, sit down, do our makeup together. So I don't even really know what I packed with me. My friend actually got me this very convenient Days makeup case. I've looked through some of them. There's 39 questions, so I'm just gonna randomly pick through to start us off. Did you live in New York for a little, or did I make that up? Or why did you leave? So I never lived in New York. I've always thought about living in New York. I would love to live in I think I would love to live in New York. I'm honestly not sure. I'm from California, born and raised. I've lived in Los Angeles all of my life. More specifically, I've lived in Compton for most of my life. So LA girly, born and raised. And I currently live in LA now. I love the idea of living in maybe New York or a different metropolitan big city like that. However, it is just a little bit scary to me, if I'm being very honest. I'm gonna start by underpainting. I feel like I move faster when I underpaint. And so yeah, I've considered definitely moving to New York one day. If I'm being 100% completely honest, I do kind of want to move. Like I said, I live in LA now, and I love being close to family. I love being with all of my friends. However, I just find myself sometimes wanting a little bit more. I think about New York all the time. Maybe one of these days I will make the trip and journey to New York. Hopefully. I would love to, honestly. But I actually did briefly live in Atlanta, a lot of you might know, and I loved it. I loved it for the time being. I was working on set as a freelance makeup artist. That was such a pivotal point in my life thus far because I truly had to learn independence in a different way. Obviously, when I was in college, I was living away from home. However, I was still in California, so it wasn't that much of a change, honestly. And so going to a completely different city, knowing only one person, not even really knowing exactly how that experience will go because I had never worked on set before. I had a lot of experience working and doing makeup. I am self-taught, however, I had just never worked in that sort of environment before, so it was actually very nerve-wracking. However, it was during the pandemic, so it was a time where I was just very uncertain of my path and what I wanted to do next and where I was going and what I was gonna do. And so when my uncle, who's on the show The Game, reached out to me and asked me if I would want to go to Atlanta and possibly work on set. He could only, you know, pitch the idea. There was no guarantee that I was going to work on set, you know? I said, absolutely. Do I know anything? Have I ever done this before? No. Am I willing to take that leap of faith and just try it out? Absolutely. And that's exactly what I did. While working on The Game was my first project, I've just always been somebody who never played when it came to makeup. You know, we hear stories all the time about people being like, oh my God, it's so hard to find good hairstylists, makeup artists, people are late, and you know, just all of these things. This whole negative rap sometimes makeup artists and hairstylists get when it comes to that. I took it very seriously, okay? I was never late, always on time. I live by the quote, to be early is to be on time is to be late, and to be late is unacceptable, okay? I never played when it came to that job when I was working freelance and when I worked on set. I would say that and on top of me being a good makeup artist is what kept me working, because my mentor, she definitely could have been like, okay, yeah, like I'll, you know, give her a chance, but after this project, that's it, you know? I was able to work on about 4 projects in total, and then I came back home and my life at home kind of changed to where I had to move back home. And so that's also when my content creation journey started to pick up. I was already signed to an agency at the time, however, I wanted to do both. So it wasn't necessarily a thing where I had to choose between which job I wanted to do, even though I knew at some point I would have to, because it's such a demanding job working on set. You don't really get to pick your schedule and you want to be consistent with social media. So I knew at some point I probably have to choose, kind of keep doing both as much as possible until I couldn't really. I'm also talking about all of this because I got a question if I still do makeup freelance. So just a little bit of backstory in case you don't already know about all of that. And so yeah, it just became a thing where I was able to continue doing content creation while I was going through my family thing. My situation at home was one where I was going to have to move back, and so that is what I did, and I was able to continue doing content at the same time. And so yeah, I can go on and on about that, but we're gonna stick to the questions so that I don't ramble. How did you know you wanted to be a makeup artist? Okay, we're still kind of on topic. I would say that I fell in love with makeup the same time I think a lot of people did, which was like 2017. I fell in love with makeup on my 8th grade graduation. My mom let me wear makeup for the very first time. She let me wear her berry blush from Bobbi Brown and some eyebrow gel and some mascara, and you literally could not talk to me. I just thought I was the cutest girl in school, and my life literally changed. On top of makeup just really being such a huge thing, by the time I got to high school, I'm talking like 2016, 2017, you know, all of the makeup gurus, Jackie Aina, everybody, you know, I was constantly watching makeup tutorials all of the time, and so then I would start practicing, so much so to where my hairstylist, my current hairstylist, she's been doing my hair since I was in middle school, but it got to a point where she had just always seen me watching videos as she was doing my hair. I was very shy, so we weren't really talking when I was in the chair, but I was always watching makeup videos. She was like, you know, you could do makeup here, you know, practice and take on clients, all of that. And so I would start to have my friends come to the salon after school, and I would practice on them, or sometimes my friends would come over on the weekends and I would practice. She gave me the opportunity to host a makeup class, which I did, and I printed out flyers. My hairstylist salon is in Carson, California, so I put my flyers in Carson Mall and the beauty supply, on the Starbucks bulletin board, just kind of anywhere that they would let me. So I had a makeup class. I knew everybody in the class. I think it was it was my mom, my grandma, 2 of like my mom's friends, but it was cute, you know. I had my whole little thing, and so that was really what inspired me. From there, I just kept practicing. I was doing makeup for $30, $50. Then I made an Instagram. Then I was able to start taking on clients that way, and that's really truly just how it started. Yeah, it was really rewarding. I'm just always so grateful that I just had such a supportive family. My mom supported me. My grandparents bought me my first ring light. You know, I truly am so grateful that I had that support system that would support me with whatever I wanted to do. And so that's essentially how I started. I don't do it anymore. I don't necessarily know if it's just something that I will go back to. Never say never. As of right now, no. Don't get me wrong, it was an amazing experience. However, I just found myself kind of falling out of love with it, especially when it came to working on set. It can be really intense, not necessarily the people that I worked with directly, but just the environment of working on set as a whole. That was a bit much for me. Again, if my situation at home didn't happen, I probably would have continued. I genuinely don't know, because I loved living in Atlanta. However, that was not my forever home. I didn't see it being my forever home, but while I was there, did really enjoy myself. And I also say all of that to say how imperative I think it is for young women to move from their hometown, even if it's for a year, even if it's for 6 months, a year, whatever it is, because that experience is truly something that I don't think I will ever forget. It was an amazing experience, and I'm so happy and so proud of myself for putting myself out there, especially because when I grew up, I was always a shy girl. Everyone associated me with being shy, and so to kind of take that risk and just do something for myself that people wouldn't expect me to do was very invigorating and fulfilling. And I just think it is so important to do something like that, even like I said, if it's for a year, 6 months, whatever. Next question, because I will keep talking. How is dating, and where do you stand on it? So another part of my lore, if you guys didn't know, when I started on TikTok mainly, I had just gotten out of a relationship, my very first relationship, and I had started dating. We're talking 2021. Things are still pretty fresh. You know, we're still in a pandemic. However, things are starting to open again. And so I figured the only way for me to really experience dating was by getting on dating apps, because prior to that, I hadn't really had a lot of dating experience. That was my first boyfriend, my first relationship. I didn't date at all in high school. I was only in college for 2 years. First relationship didn't start until my junior year of college. Yeah, I didn't have much experience when it came to that. So I figured the best way for me to do that was through dating apps. And naturally, I figured, well, because I'm going through this, I might as well document it and share it with others, which is exactly what I did. Yeah, I started talking about dating, and I haven't talked about it as much. I've learned so much over the last 5 years, and even when I watch some of my dating videos back now, some of the things that I was putting myself through and putting up with, but I definitely believe in, you know, sometimes you just have to go through things to learn them. Now, I am not on dating apps. I haven't been actively dating either. I've been single since my last relationship, but dating. I honestly do have a lot of thoughts. I feel like I've said this before. I believe in love and I love love. I see it all the time. I experience it all of the time with my friends and family. And so for me, it has just been something where I don't believe in having to settle, and I only want to be in a relationship if I feel like it would make sense. And at the same time, I do also want to make sure that I am not sheltering myself too much to where I'm not allowing myself to experience, because I feel like I kind of fell into the trap of like, oh, well, if he doesn't do this, this, and this, or if he's like this, and this, then, you know, it can never work. That was kind of hindering my experience of just dating as a whole, you know? I think I was kind of going into things subconsciously sometimes, like, okay, well, he's not my husband, so there's no point in, you know, dating. And obviously, if something doesn't feel right, I'm not gonna continue, and I don't think you should either. However, I think me being in my head so much really stopped me from just being able to enjoy the overall experience of dating. I'm only 25. I'm not in a rush to be in a relationship. I'm not in a rush to start a family or be married or anything like that. In my heart, I truly feel like I have so much life to live. I truly feel like it is just a blessing to grow old and to just experience as much life as possible. That has really allowed me to have less pressure and stress on myself when it comes to dating. People break up all the time, so it's like I can't be afraid of starting something new and it not working out. I think I was getting in the habit of that. Hello. My best friend just called me, so I kind of forgot where I left off. But I think all in all right now, I'm just in a space where I'm just allowing myself to enjoy and not be afraid of dating, not be afraid of putting myself out there, and not being afraid of new experiences, you know? I think I've just shied away from that so much in fear of maybe getting heartbroken or just like putting myself out there and having it not be received. But I think the minute where I became comfortable with the fact that not everything has to always be something, not everybody has to be your husband, girl, not everything has to, you know, develop into something. It is okay to just enjoy. And that comes in dating, that comes in just everyday life. And so I would say that's where I'm at now, positively. I'm just letting life unfold as it will. And that's it. What's next? How many dates have I gone on? 2024, I only went on maybe like 3. 2025, I haven't been on any dates yet. Which we're still early into it, you know? As a matcha girly, would you ever visit Japan to try all things matcha? Of course. I cannot wait to go to Japan. I talk about it with my friend all of the time. We both love matcha. That's one of the ways we bond. Yeah, I definitely want to go to Japan. I cannot wait to go to Japan. Not just for matcha, but for the fashion, for the shopping. I'm drinking coffee right now, but I definitely do want to go to Japan for sure. What age did you consider full independence, like moving out and being confident that you can thrive solo, and what factors contributed to it? Last year was the year that I decided that I wanted to move out. Also, a little bit more about me. I am my mom's only child, so I was pretty much raised as the only child. I thrive being by myself. I love being independent. I think I also developed that independence at a pretty young age. Having that little taste of living in Atlanta by myself, I had my first, you know, like high-rise style apartment. I moved again when I was there. Just having that freedom and having that experience was genuinely unmatched, and I wish it on every young woman at least once, okay? I strongly and highly encourage that everyone live on their own if they can for at least once. Just try it out at least once, you know? For me personally, I just knew that my first time moving out, I didn't want it to be when I was in a relationship or when I was moving in with a partner. I genuinely wanted that experience just being by myself. And it's really helped me grow in a way where I've had to kind of rely on myself in a lot of different ways. Not just being able to financially support myself, but just in making the smallest decisions, you know, where there have been times where I've just felt so comfortable, you know, going to my mom, going and getting the opinion, asking somebody else, which there's nothing wrong with that, obviously, but I've had to learn how to trust myself in a different way that I haven't had to do before. And so that is why I definitely highly suggest it at least once when you feel comfortable, when you feel like you can, because it is a big decision, you know, especially betting on myself in that way where I'm like, okay, so this is what we're doing. I'm moving out. I am doing content full time, and I am just praying that, you know, everything will continue to work out in a way where I can sustain. And I did have set aside savings to where I knew I would be okay if anything were to happen. So I definitely think that's important. If you don't have to, it's not a decision that needs to be rushed, but I would highly encourage preparing for it. And so yeah, and I love it. I do kind of want to move, I'm not gonna lie. I think I said that earlier, but I've grown and learned so much since doing so. Advice on finding personal style. Honestly, this is something that I'm still learning. I feel like I I had a point where I was just getting really comfortable kind of dressing bummy and wearing sweats, like not necessarily getting dressed up. And so I think going out in the world, getting dressed up every day, whether you're going to work, whether you work from home, even if you do work from home, getting dressed up kind of encourages that too. I kind of went back and assessed some outfits that I really liked on myself, colors that I really liked on myself. I know people do color analysis and stuff like that, and maybe at some point I will do that, but I just tried to figure out what I liked on myself, being more intentional about the clothes that I buy and what I like on my own body. You know, what's a book that changed your perspective of life? One of my favorite books of all time is The Four Agreements. I read that book during the pandemic and I absolutely love it. It is one of my favorite books. I honestly really want to go back to it. And another book that I'm reading right now is, what is it called? Finding Me by Viola Davis, her memoir. I'm not too deep into it yet, but what I've read thus far, it's really good. Even though I haven't finished it, I can already kind of recommend it. So just the first few pages, I was like, wait, this is kind of altering my brain chemistry right now. When doing so many hair makeup looks, what are frustrations with skin or your hair care health doing well? Acne, breakage. So there was actually a period where I was experiencing a lot of texture. I wasn't necessarily having breakouts. It came from essentially just over exfoliating my skin, and I felt extremely self-conscious. It was hard because as a content creator, I make content. Having to share what my skin looked like while doing a makeup tutorial just felt daunting, for lack of a better word. I'm also just been the person where this is just what it is, you know? It's like, well, I ended up going to an esthetician, but I told myself until I figure out what to do, I'm gonna keep creating the content. And people comment about my skin, which some people did. It is what it is. It's life, it's normal, it's human. There's only so much that I can do. So that definitely helped me mentally, but for a period it was definitely debilitating, and it was kind of stunting my creativity and my desire to work. I just felt so self-conscious in my skin and I didn't know what to do. As far as hair, I actually have a pretty low maintenance hair care routine. Despite the tutorials that I post, as far as regular basis, every single day, I don't put heat on my hair. I don't constantly style it in that way. I would say that that's helped. I only really do my hair or put heat on my hair if I really need to. That has helped too, as far as not damaging my hair. How's living in the new apartment? It's good. Again, like I said, I do kind of love the idea of moving. I don't know if that move means staying in LA, if it means going somewhere else. I'm still trying to figure it out. Overall, it's been good. I hate that I haven't shared as much as I would have wanted to, just because I got so in my head about things not being exactly how I wanted them to be right in that moment. I regret it now because I didn't share as much of the decorating, searching, shopping experience with you guys, and I feel bad about that because now I'm like, well, this part of the house is already decorated and obviously I can still share it, but overall it's been good and felt like something that I just needed to experience. Even if it was only for a year and I decided to go back home, whatever the case may be, I needed to experience it. It's definitely been learning experience for good and the not so good. Tips for self-confidence and maybe starting a future in content creation. I would definitely say the hardest part is starting. That is something that I even have to remind myself too, because even for this video, for example, I've been thinking about it every day, but I'm just like, oh, maybe I need to do this, maybe I should have this, I need this now, I need blah, blah, blah. So many factors that I was just kind of using as a way to stall and not do. And I would definitely say starting is the hardest part. Getting out of your head, if you're somebody like me, can also be the hardest part. One thing that has definitely helped me is creating more than I consume, because I found myself over consuming, doom scrolling. All of that can be so debilitating on your creative mind because you're just consuming so much. And I would also say another tip, just I think in general, when it comes to having an idea or having a vision, the minute you visualize something or have an idea about something, act on it. Because I've seen videos about this as well, and I've seen it happen with my own ideas where I have an idea and then I psych myself out of that idea. I tell myself it's not good. I see somebody else 2 months later have the exact same idea. I truly believe that sometimes God places ideas and things into us, and if we do not act on it, it's going to somebody else. I would say if it is something that you want to do, if it's something you want to start, do it. There's only one you. Yeah, it might be a field where there's so many people who are content creators, so many people who want to get into it, but that doesn't mean that there isn't space, you know? So definitely do it, try it, and don't give up. How are you taking care of your mental health? My legs are going asleep. I should have maybe picked questions as opposed to just sliding through. How am I taking care of my mental health? I would say definitely prayer, definitely journaling. Whenever I feel overwhelmed, prayer, journaling, getting my feelings out. One thing I've actually been doing recently, I've been reading The Artist's Way. So that has really helped me because you have to do morning pages. And when I tell y'all, those morning pages, they be getting me. I do my best to do my 3 pages of writing. It is actually really nice to get whatever it is off my chest, whether it's an idea, if I'm feeling frustrated, if I'm feeling sad, I'm able to express myself in that way. Therapy also helped. I learned a lot of tools. I have a lot of tools in my toolkit that have helped me. Found myself significantly happier when I get out, when I go on a walk, when I get fresh air, when I don't go on my phone first thing in the morning. Now I have like a downtime set on my phone where I'm not able to go on Instagram from 10 p.m. to 10 a.m. So I would say just doing those little things, eating healthy, moving my body, doing things that are within my control to keep my mind healthy and happy. And obviously life is always gonna life, but as long as I am taking care of myself to the best of my ability, that's helped a lot. A hobby that you're into that a lot of people don't know about. Biggest hobby, I haven't fully started, but I'm getting into is scrapbooking. My mom was a big scrapbooker. I was younger and just found myself wanting to take more pictures. I had always opened my camera roll and realized that so many things have happened, so many things have passed. I didn't capture the moment, i.e. I went to Dubai in 2022 with my friends. I barely have any pictures of that trip. Almost like it didn't happen. I hate that for me because I don't know what emotions I was going through. Honestly, I do know. I didn't feel my prettiest on this trip. And I took that as an excuse to just not take any pictures despite all of that. And it was just like, girl, in Dubai, like, what do you mean? Yeah, that has been my thing. Just taking pictures, being present, taking pictures so that I have things to put in my scrapbook, have things to look back on later on in my life. Best advice you've been given, I live by these 2 things. First one, my grandpa would always say, don't let anyone ever take your joy. As a kid, I didn't always understand what that meant, but as I've gotten older, happiness is a fleeting feeling. You know, we can be happy today, unhappy tomorrow, but our joy is within us. And so just maintaining that, staying true to my core, just staying true to myself and being the joyous person that I know that I am, and keeping that within me, not letting anybody have that power over me to try to take it away, not allowing anybody to feel like they can take my joy or take my light or anything like that. I live by that. And then the other one would be, do your best and God will do the rest. My mom, she would always tell me that, and that hits differently as I get older. How do you maintain your hair straight for so long? Honestly, y'all, I've been straight my hair since I was a kid. I'm like pretty much done with my routine, which is why I'm just yapping now. Having a good hairstylist who genuinely cares about the health of your hair, who is not just putting stuff in it just to be doing stuff. If any of you followed me when I lived in Atlanta, I went to a really terrible hair salon who put some sort of chemical in my hair that caused it to completely straight. And I just got my hair into a bob. So she clearly didn't care about my hair. You want to find a hairstylist who cares about it. Next question. Should I do my lashes? Is there anything new you discovered you like? Ooh. No, I just think I genuinely become more and more like my mom the older I get, which is so funny because there are things that I would have criticized her, and not necessarily criticized her for, but just things where I'm like, Mom, why are you do that? You like that? And the older I get, I realize I'm just like her. I can't think of a specific example right now, but I have noticed that within myself. The older I get, the more I become more like my mom, which I think is kind of a beautiful thing. Let's see. My favorite part of social media. My favorite part of social media is definitely the community. It's truly unmatched. I feel like I've been very blessed to have such a positive and loving and kind. When I first started on social media in 2020, I remember writing a list. I remember specifically one of those bullet points I wrote down that I wanted positive and supportive, happy, kind, all of the words, you know? I was really milking it. I just wanted that in a community because while it can be great to maybe blow up on Instagram, blow up on TikTok, whatever, you can blow up for the wrong reasons. And I never wanted that to be the case for me. I wanted it to be very intentional. I wanted it to be just my girls, you know, just my little, everybody is my friend, you know? That's how I wanted it to feel. And so I think that is definitely the most important, because in life it is also just important to have people like that in your life, but also on social media you have your highs and lows doing this. And so it's nice when I just even get maybe like a random message from somebody, they just have something positive to say or that they appreciate my content. That is truly what can keep you going. That is definitely the best part of it. Maintaining a healthy relationship with work, definitely finding the balance. I'm not gonna lie, I struggle with that. I wish I did have a better answer, But I struggle. I'm gonna do my little, even though you're not supposed to really talk with this, but it's fine. I struggle with finding balance. I struggle with discipline sometimes because I can be such a spur of the moment type of person. Sometimes finding that and just balancing the day-to-day and setting a schedule, that can be really difficult for me. And it's still something that I'm learning how to do, and it is one of my goals for 2025. So fortunately, do not have a real answer, but just know that I am working on it. If you're curious, this is the Statue lip liner stain. I remembered lashes and lash glue, but I forgot mascara. We're gonna do this mascara. This is a good way to continue yapping, so a win is a win. I also got a question about how my birthday party was. I initially had talked about it a little bit more in my birthday vlog, but I ended up cutting it out because I just didn't look cute in that clip. My face was puffy because I had just woken up and I was trying to do my reflection, but I was like, ooh, we're gonna have to cut this out. But it was really good. The day of, I had my birthday dinner with all of my friends, and that was really nice. My surprise birthday was also really nice. I genuinely did not expect it, which obviously is the point of a surprise birthday party, but I was just so kind of over my birthday in a way because my voice was gone. I had been sick for 2 weeks straight. It was just a lot, and I was honestly just ready for February to be over, if I'm being quite honest. My mom and all of my friends, they truly got me so well. I genuinely felt so loved. It was really nice. It was really, really nice. It was definitely one of the nicest things that anyone has ever done for me. It's very natural, but we're definitely getting a little something. Now we can take this lip liner off. Oh, or not. I felt like it had already dried. That's odd. For my lip combo today, we're gonna do ColourPop BFF3. This is one of my favorite lip liners. And she's only $6. 2 more questions. My favorite Bible scripture is trust in the Lord with all of your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. That's probably one of my favorite ones because I have to remind myself that when I'm trying to be too in control and just trying to figure out everything and trying to overanalyze, and you know, sometimes I just gotta let it go. I think I answered almost all of them. I hope this video isn't too long. I know I've been talking for almost an hour, because an hour is a long time to be yapping, and I know I can yap. This is MAC Teddy 2.0, and then for gloss today, I'm going to do Road, but this is Peach Pit. Cute, cute, very peachy, very peachy. Take these down. This is a very natural look for today. Oh goodness. It's always the front bangs for me. That's like so hard. I think that will conclude our get ready with me, get to know me video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to stay connected, follow me on TikTok. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.